Welcome to episode 4 of BlazBlue Alta Memory, titled Probabilistic Events. Honestly, this episode is it feels longer than it really is because most of this episode is just exposition dump. So, yeah, there's no point in stretching this out any further. Let's just get into the episode titled Probabilistic Events. So the episode begins with Noelle meeting Jin for the first time in the military academy, with Jin catching one of Noelle's poems that flew away from her. By the way, can I stress how freaking odd it is to see Jin smile? I know this is before his crazy streak, but still looks weird as hell. After all that, the episode shows off that Hakumen is being tracked by Kokonoe. Hakumen attempts to break free, leading Kokonoe to put up more restraints on him, and telling the faceless samurai that his power of order must be allowing him to quote-unquote bend the rules, as he shouldn't be able to break free. Kokonoe goes on to say that she needs Hakumen as he has this Susanoo unit, while Hakumen says that Kokonoe has her mother's crude tongue, offending her. Meanwhile, Rachel's in a white space surrounded by 3 chairs. The chairs wonder why Rachel would even deploy the Tsukuyomi unit, since Takemikazuchi would have reduced the quote-unquote irregularity to ash had Rachel not acted. Rachel counters back, asking the 3 why they would even release Terumi from the boundary. The 3, now known as Takamagahara, claim that they only want to keep the world in balance, and that this reality is approaching something known as the Continuum Shift event, due to the appearance of the successor of the Azure. Takamagahara go on to say that they're going to control the events that go forward and eliminate any irregularities that may happen. While Rachel believes that the Takamagahara are treating themselves like a god, they deny that belief and only say that they've been created by man and therefore cannot reach any kind of divine status, unlike the Master Unit, whose distortions affect the world. Rachel asks if releasing Terumi is going to help this, but the Takamagahara reassure her that they can handle it. They also ask if Rachel will return to them, but Rachel doesn't answer, only saying that while they can see most of existence, they really can see nothing at all. Meanwhile, Noelle and Makoto meet up for the first time in years, with Makoto telling her about the Takemikazuchi blast, though Noelle was unaware of it due to her being down in the cauldron levels. Makoto explains that the Takemikazuchi was a Nox Victoris, a weapon that was used during the Dark War, but it was too powerful, so it was locked away. Noelle flashes back to her days in the military academy with Makoto and Tsubaki. Tsubaki explains that during the Dark War, Ars Magus and the Nox Victoris were created to combat the Black Beast. The Takemikazuchi was the most famous of the Nox Victoris, being sealed away once the Dark War was over. The creator of the Nox Victoris was the Great Mage 9, who was one of the 6 heroes who had won the Dark War for humanity, while Tsubaki saying that even grade schoolers know that story. Makoto simply says that she herself was only accepted due to being good at sports, but Tsubaki says that she should study regardless. Noelle goes on to mention that the 3 spent a lot of time in the library, and that at one moment Jin showed up. Tsubaki goes to greet Jin, and Jin was somewhat happy until he caught sight of Noelle. At the beginning of the episode, when Jin first met Noelle, her presence clearly bothered him. Tsubaki wonders if Jin is okay, but Makoto teaches Tsubaki about her blatant crush on Jin, even though Tsubaki blushes and only says that he is a friend of her family. Back in the present, Makoto informs Noelle that Jin had escaped the hospital he was in, and theorized that he is probably aligned with the enemy, whoever that is, and that Tsubaki is now in the Zero Squadron and is heading towards Kagetsuchi. Makoto says the Zero Squad, also called the Wings of Judgment, is the enforcement unit, and that she is on a mission to track down both Noelle and Jin in order to assassinate the 2, shocking Noelle. Heading to Kagetsuchi, Tsubaki then flashes back to her conversation with Hazama. Hazama mentions that the order to kill both Jin and Noelle was an imperial order, directly from the Imperator, and that the only reason that they needed to be killed is that they aligned themselves with Ragnar the Bloodedge. Afterwards, Tsubaki sacrifices some of her blood to unlock a door in order to find the sealed armament Izayoi, telling herself that she wasn't expecting to use it against Noelle and Jin. Even with her clear order, Tsubaki is rather conflicted. Traveling through a dark city, a still injured Jin is continuing to look for Ragnar. High above, Rachel glances down upon him. Jubei appears out of nowhere to meet up with Jin, telling him his name. Jin notices that Jubei is the name of one of the 6 heroes, and Jubei tells Jin that this world needs to keep balance, and that balance comes from the power of order, but it can also destroy the world if not used properly, tipping the scales. Jubei retreats, telling Jin to find him if he's ready to confront the power of order within him, silently saying that they quote-unquote grow up so fast. Elsewhere, Noel informs Makoto that Jin bailed the moment he learned of Ragna's presence in Kagasuchi, while an upset Makoto had realized that she had met Ragna down in the Kaga village and failed to apprehend him. Makoto recommends Noel to head down to the village to catch Ragna. Lychee later encounters Noel and wonders why a member of the Praetorian Guard is down there, telling the girl that she'll defend Ragna because he's her patient. Noel wants to know where Ragna is because he saved her life earlier, and that if she doesn't see Ragna right now, that her friends will die. Lychee, now with Noel, meets up back with Ragna and Tao. Ragna had removed his bandages, and Lychee had learned that Ragna's wounds have been somewhat healed faster than normal. Rachel suddenly teleports to the room and later chats with Lychee, telling her that the object that she's been looking for all this time has landed in her lap. Rachel refers to herself as a quote-unquote acquaintance of Kokonoe, which surprises Lychee. Ragna and Noel chat for a bit, with Noel wondering what Ragna's relationship is with Jin. Ragna simply says that the two are enemies and reminds Noel about the cauldron they saw, enforcing his plan to destroying all of the cauldrons and all of the NOL branches, including Terami along with them. Noel asks about what Terami did to him, but Ragna tells Noel that it isn't any of her business, somewhat surprised that she isn't running away from him. Noel says that she isn't running away because she needs to confront Jin herself. Meanwhile, Hosma and Relius are scheming, saying that they almost have all of their pieces back in place, ending the episode. And now for my overall thoughts of this episode. Honestly, I feel like this is one of the weaker episodes, mostly because it's just nothing but exposition dump. It's not even exposition. It's like a cross between exposition dump and like, I can't really call it stuff. It's just more like rapid firing things at you at once. I will repeat this probably again, like a lot of times, but this anime has a real major problem with rapid firing to you all of the terminology in BlazBlue without giving much context. Now, they did explain what the hell Takemikizuchi was a little bit too late after he went back into the satellite, even though it was too late by then, but whatever. They didn't really explain the Black Beast of why, but they did set up that, you know, Ragna and Nu would become a beast that would devour the world. So I guess people would, you know, like, okay, then how's that connect to the Black Beast? You know, like, it's like, there's no connection to it. And, you know, there's the whole thing with Takamaka Horror, which is just like one big exposition dump. The thing with Noel and Makoto talking about how, you know, they used to be friends back in the academy, and that's just like a veil just to tell you what the hell the Dark War was about, just to get that out of the way, like just to immediately tell you what the Dark War is, what Ars Magus and Noxic Taurus do, what the hell is Takemikizuchi and how his relationship was with the Noxic Taurus, who are the 6 heroes, who created the Nox. Like, it happens way too fast, and like there's no breathing room with the characters. Like, I feel like there were some moments in this episode where there was some characterization, like how Makoto teases Tsubaki, or just straight up Makoto in general, because Makoto serves the point of just being there and just being like a person who just dumps exposition, and that is something Makoto does not do. Like, she'll tell people things, but like Makoto being a person who dumps exposition is a complete betrayal of her character. Like, the thing about Makoto in this continuity, like I can't say this continuity, in this adaptation, my bad, is that she's a lot more subdued and not as, like, to be fair, all the characters feel that way. The only characters that really don't change all that much in this adaptation is Ragna, though he's more he's somewhat nicer in the anime, though that's a different story. I'll get to that when I start talking about their episodes, but characters like Makoto just feel so hollow. You know, I feel like Noelle keeps the spirit of herself, you know, she really doesn't get anywhere else, and Jin is a different thing entirely. Rachel does whatever she wants, etc., etc. But yeah, this episode is relatively just uninteresting. Honestly, this video is longer than it had to be just because of all the exposition dump. And I love BlazBlue, don't get me wrong, I love BlazBlue and I love all the terminology, but like, having to sit through an episode where it's nothing but flashbacks and exposition dumps, it's just uninteresting. And it's even more so when it's BlazBlue related. Like they're rapid firing stuff, like they're telling you all at once: Power of Order, Susanoo unit, Takamagahara, the Boundary, the Master unit, Izayoi, the Nox Notorious, Take Mikazuchi, the Dark War, Ars Magus, the 6 Heroes, the Zero Squad, the Wings of Judgment, Zero Squad, the same thing. Let's see here. They have to like do the whole backstory, not backstory. They have to do backstory with the Military Academy gang. They have to do stuff about the Izayoi. And I think the Sergeant said the Power Board 6 Heroes. But yeah, they have to do all this exposition dump at once. And it is too much at once. This whole episode is nothing but an exposition dump. And I already know what happens next episode. That's the quote-unquote beach episode, which is just a filler content for the anime, even though this anime did not warrant a beach moment. I mean, I like the scene, but it just did not warrant it. But besides the point, this whole episode was relatively just kind of boring. Like, really boring. Like, it wasn't boring to make me pull my hair because I already know the terminology, but it's so weird how they use all this stuff. Like, all the terminology is like rapid fires. Ugh, man.